Okay, so are you ready to dive into this?
Always ready to dive in.
Awesome. Today we're looking into pranks and playfulness and how they, fit into relationships.
Hmm. Interesting.
It's something we all deal with.
Yeah.
Our listeners sent in some really great material. We're going to be looking at, do pranks have a place in a loving relationship, or are they just a recipe for disaster?
Right.
We'll be unpacking both sides of the argument
Yeah.
and hopefully giving you guys some tools to figure out, what works best for you and your partner.
Yeah. What's so interesting about this topic is that humor can be so powerful,
Oh, yeah.
but it's really a double-edged sword.
Right.
You know, on the one hand, it can really build intimacy and help you get through, stressful moments.
Right.
But it can also lead to arguments and hurt feelings if it's not used carefully.
Exactly. Exactly. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting from the listener mail is that someone sent in this story about how they pranked their partner by putting googly eyes on everything in the refrigerator,
Oh, wow.
like every single item.
Interesting.
And I thought, is that hilarious or is that horrifying?
Right.
And it really depends on your partner, right?
Absolutely.
And their sense of humor, what they're into.
Yeah, and it really highlights how important it is to define what is a prank.
Yeah, yeah.
We're talking about such a wide spectrum
Right.
of jokes, from like a whoopee cushion.
Yeah, or like a fake spider.
Exactly, to some elaborate, like, staged scenario like
Yeah.
you'd see on,
Like Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's really important to consider, like, what was the intention
Right.
behind the joke?
And the impact.
Yes,
The
exactly.
potential impact.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, we've kind of touched on this, but humor is, like, so important in relationships.
It is. It's huge.
Well, is that?
Well, I think from an attachment perspective, humor can be a really good way to kind of create a sense of safety and
Wow.
connection.
Right.
And when we laugh together, it releases endorphins,
Right.
and they have mood boosting and bonding effects. So
Yeah.
it's almost like a shortcut
Yeah.
to feeling closer and
Yeah.
more comfortable with each other.
So it's not even just the joke itself.
Right.
It's that shared experience
Yes.
and those positive feelings
Yes.
that come with it. And I've heard, couples who can laugh together
Yeah,
are better able to handle stress,
for sure.
navigate difficult times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, to add to that, humor involves a level of vulnerability
Yes.
when you can be silly and
Yeah.
laugh at yourself.
Especially with your partner.
Yeah, especially with your partner. It
Yeah.
shows a certain level of trust
Yes.
and intimacy.
And that just strengthens everything. Yeah. Okay, so I'm starting to see how pranks, when done right,
Yeah.
can kind of tap into these really deep relationship dynamics.
Right.
It can be a way to create those shared moments of laughter, build that trust,
Yes.
and just strengthen the connection as a couple.
Yeah, it's almost like a playful way of saying, like, I get you.
Yeah.
I feel safe.
I feel comfortable around you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, not all humor is created equal.
Right.
And what's funny to one person can be, really offensive or hurtful to another.
Yeah.
And I think a really important part of this is understanding different humor styles.
Okay.
Because I think it can help us avoid,
Avoid some pitfalls.
yes, some of those pitfalls.
Okay, now you're speaking my language.
Okay, good.
A framework. Tell me more.
Okay, so psychologists have actually identified 4 main humor styles.
Okay.
And those are affiliative, self-enhancing, aggressive,
Okay.
and self-defeating. So, affiliative humor is really about using humor to connect with others and build relationships.
Okay.
It's generally warm, inclusive, and very well received.
So like telling a funny story
Yes.
about something that you both experienced.
Exactly.
Example.
Or yeah, like making a lighthearted joke to kind of like diffuse tension.
Right, right.
Then there's self-enhancing humor.
Okay.
And this is really about using humor to cope with stress
Okay.
and maintain a positive outlook on life.
Right.
And people with this style can really find the humor in difficult situations.
Yeah, I know a few people like that.
Me too, yeah.
Always able to see the silver lining.
Right, exactly.
And then we have aggressive humor.
Yes.
And this one's a little trickier.
This one can be trickier, yeah.
Yeah.
It's often used to put others down or tease,
Right.
sort of a seat dominance.
Right.
And, it can be funny
Yeah.
in certain contexts, like...
Yeah, like with your buddies
Exactly, like with close friends who kind of know...
who know the boundaries.
Exactly, yeah. But it can backfire.
Especially in romantic relationships.
especially in romantic relationships.
If it's not done carefully.
If it's not done carefully.
Yeah, one person's always the target,
Right.
and it can lead to, just some bad feelings.
For sure.
Okay, and then the last one you said was self-defeating humor.
Yeah, and that's kind of like putting yourself down,
Oh.
making yourself the butt of the joke.
Right.
And it can be a way to deflect attention or avoid conflict.
Right.
But it can also like erode your self-esteem over time.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
So we've got these 4 distinct humor styles.
Yes.
Affiliative, self-enhancing,
Yeah.
aggressive, self-defeating.
Yeah.
And knowing these, both our own and our partners, can help us
I think so, yes.
navigate, how we use humor in our relationship.
Then avoid those misunderstandings.
Yes, exactly.
Which brings us back to the question of pranks.
Yes.
Yeah.
If
If we want to use humor in a healthy way.
yes, in a healthy way to strengthen our bond
Right.
and create these positive experiences.
Yeah.
We really need to be mindful,
Of our partner.
yes, of our partner's humor style
Their humor style
and choose pranks,
that are appropriate.
yes, that align with their preferences.
So, for instance, if your partner is affiliative,
Yeah.
maybe we do these lighthearted pranks.
Yes.
Create a sense of togetherness.
Right. Exactly.
But if they're more self-enhancing,
Yeah.
then maybe we want to help them
Yes.
see the funny side of,
Of a stressful situation.
a stressful situation.
Yeah. Or celebrate their ability to laugh at themselves.
Exactly. And you'd mentioned aggressive and self-defeating.
Yeah.
We want to avoid anything that would trigger
We want to avoid those.
those kinds of things. Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so we've laid some groundwork here.
Yes.
We've talked about, the psychology behind humor,
Uh-huh.
the different humor styles,
Yeah.
and how it applies to practical jokes. Yeah.
But now I want to get into, the arguments
Yes.
for and against pranks.
Okay, let's do it.
Are you ready to tackle that?
I'm ready. Let's jump in.
All right, so let's make the case for pranks.
Okay.
We've talked about shared laughter,
Right.
that sense of connection.
Yeah.
When you pull off a good prank, it can be a lot of fun.
It can be,
You
yeah.
know? You get that little burst of joy,
Uh-huh.
and it can kind of shake things up,
Right.
remind you why you fell in love in the first place.
Right. And I think what's so fascinating is that, pranks can almost function like
Oh, wow.
a type of play therapy for couples.
Okay.
It's an opportunity to step outside of your roles,
Yeah.
your routines,
Yeah.
and engage with each other.
On a different level.
Yes,
Yeah.
in a more spontaneous and lighthearted way.
And it's like you're creating your own little world,
Yeah.
full of inside jokes.
Yeah.
And memories. That's another thing. They
Yeah.
generate stories that you're going to be telling for years to come.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, what's more memorable?
Right.
Like a Tuesday night dinner or the time you convinced your partner their car was towed.
Exactly. Yeah. And those shared stories become so important
Yeah.
to your relationship's narrative.
Right.
It's like this tapestry
Yeah.
of playful moments that really strengthens your bond
Yeah.
and creates that sense of shared history.
And those inside jokes that only you two get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like your own secret language.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
It reinforces the connection.
Yeah.
Makes you feel like you're in on something special.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we've got the memories, we've got the inside jokes, and, let's not forget
Yes.
the stress-busting power of laughter.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Life can be serious.
It can
Sometimes
be.
you just need to, lighten up a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's research that shows
Yeah.
that laughter can actually lower cortisol levels,
Oh, wow.
which is the stress hormone.
Okay. Yeah.
So a well-timed prank
Yeah.
can bring you closer,
Yeah.
and it can help you both feel more relaxed
Right.
and resilient.
Oh, I like that. Hit the reset button on a stressful day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's something to be said, and we've kind of touched on this, but
Yeah.
for the creativity
Right.
that pranks foster,
Yes. Absolutely.
it's a challenge
It is.
to come up with something
Yeah.
clever and unexpected.
You have to think outside the box.
You do.
Yeah.
And that process can be really fun
It can be. Yeah.
to plan it out.
Yeah. It's like collaborating on a project.
Yeah. Yeah. But with a funny outcome.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And sometimes it can be like
Yeah.
you discover hidden talents,
You do. Yeah.
like maybe your partner's great at,
Yeah.
I don't know, creating costumes.
Right.
Or you discover you're good at sleight of hand or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like uncovering these little gems about each other.
Yeah.
You might not have known otherwise.
And that goes back to,
Yeah.
you have to know your partner
You have to know your partner. Yeah.
to know what's going to land.
Exactly.
what they'll find funny.
Yeah, it requires a real understanding of their personality,
Yeah,
their sense of humor.
what they're into.
Yeah, exactly.
And that kind of brings us to the argument against
Right.
pranks, right?
Yes.
There's always the risk
There is.
that something can go wrong.
Yeah.
If you're not careful.
Yeah.
You know, something that's meant to be lighthearted and fun
Right.
can easily backfire.
It can.
You know, hurt feelings.
Yeah.
Big argument.
For sure.
And sometimes it's not even about the prank itself.
Right.
It's about, like, the dynamics.
Yeah. The underlying dynamics.
In the relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And pranks can kind of magnify.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Existing tensions or insecurities.
Okay.
So, for example, if someone's already feeling sensitive about something, even a harmless prank could trigger...
Yeah, like, set them off.
Yes, exactly.
And I imagine if there's a power imbalance
Oh,
in
yeah.
the relationship,
That can be a big problem.
that could get really messy.
Yeah. Pranks should never be used to control or manipulate or belittle your partner.
Absolutely not.
So communication is really key.
Okay.
Like before you pull a prank,
Yeah.
have an open and honest conversation about
What's okay
what kind of humor is okay,
and what's not okay.
what's off limits, yeah.
And what your tolerance levels are.
Exactly. It's like setting ground rules.
Yes. For your playful interactions.
Right, exactly.
Of that.
And those rules might need to evolve.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. You know, what might have been hilarious when you first started dating
Yeah.
might not be so funny years down the line.
Yeah, because you're different people.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's important to remember,
Yeah.
just because you think something's funny
Doesn't mean your partner will.
doesn't mean they will.
Yeah. Humor is subjective.
It really is.
And what tickles one person
Yeah.
might irritate another.
Right. So how do we strike a balance then?
Yeah.
How do we make sure that the pranks are received well?
Right.
You know, how do we make sure they're fun and playful
Yeah.
and not hurtful or malicious?
Yeah.
Well, I think it comes down to a few key principles.
Okay.
First of all, know your partner.
Know your partner. Yes.
Right. Their sense of humor,
Mhm.
their sensitivities.
So boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah, boundaries. Communication.
Communication. So
Be open and honest.
Yeah. About what kind of pranks are okay.
Yeah.
What's off limits.
Off limits, yeah. And finally, I think respect and kindness.
Respect and kindness. Yes.
Like
above getting a laugh.
above getting a laugh.
Yes.
You know, if you're ever unsure,
Right. Yeah.
just err on the side of caution.
I think that's good advice. Yeah.
And it's funny, we started this whole conversation with the googly eyes in the fridge.
Right.
And I'm thinking about that
Yeah.
in a new light now,
Uh-huh.
you know?
Uh-huh.
It worked because this person knew their partner,
They knew their partner. Yeah, really well.
knew their sense of humor.
They knew they'd find it funny.
Yeah.
Not annoying. It
Exactly.
was a great expression of,
Yeah.
love and playfulness.
It was, yeah.
But not all pranks.
Right. Not all pranks are created equal.
Are that good.
Yeah.
And I think it's time to look at
This is
some
next step.
examples
Okay.
of pranks that went wrong.
Yeah, let's dive into those.
Not to shame anyone,
Right.
but just to, learn.
Yeah, learn from those mistakes.
Understand why some pranks land with a thud
Exactly.
instead of a laugh.
Yes.
So should we get into that?
Let's do it.
Okay. So we talked about the googly eyes,
Uh-huh.
but what about the listener who hid their partner's favorite snack?
Oh, yeah. That's a good example of a prank gone wrong.
It just shows that you really need to consider the emotional weight we
Yeah.
attach to things.
Like, imagine you're having a bad day
Right.
and you come home
Yeah.
and all you want is that one snack
Yeah.
and it's gone.
Exactly. And suddenly the prank isn't so funny anymore.
Yeah, it's just frustrating.
It's frustrating. Yeah.
And then it makes your partner feel like you don't care.
Yeah, like their preferences aren't important.
Right, right.
And it can chip away at that sense of security
yeah.
and understanding.
So even if our intentions are good,
Yeah,
sometimes things can go wrong.
they can.
And when that happens,
Yeah,
we have to own up to it.
absolutely.
Understand.
Apologize and try to understand why it backfired.
Yes, a genuine apology can go a long way.
It can. It really can.
And, sometimes
Yeah.
these little missteps can be learning experiences.
Yeah, they can teach us a lot about our partner,
Yeah.
their boundaries, what makes them feel loved.
It's like a crash course
Right.
in emotional intelligence. Yeah, exactly.
So how do we sum all this up for our listeners?
Yeah.
How do they take this information and apply it?
Right.
I think the takeaway here is that pranks can be great.
They can.
I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
But you have to be really thoughtful.
absolutely.
It's a delicate dance.
It is.
Finding that sweet spot where it enhances your relationship
Yeah.
and doesn't create tension.
Right, and that takes effort
It does.
and awareness.
And good communication.
Yeah, good communication,
Yes.
absolutely.
It's just like any other part of
Yeah.
a relationship. You got to put in the work.
You do.
And, sometimes those moments when things go wrong, they
Yeah,
teach us the most
I think so, yeah.
about ourselves and our partners.
Uh-huh.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this.
Okay.
Think about how your partner reacts to humor, both the good and the bad.
Right.
What does it tell you about them?
Yeah, it can tell you a lot about their personality, their communication style.
How they handle
Yeah.
unexpected things.
Exactly. It can teach you a lot about how to create a better relationship,
Yeah.
a more playful relationship.
We've just scratched the surface here.
Right.
But hopefully this has given you some things to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even inspired you to have a little fun
Yeah, inject a little playfulness.
in your own relationships.
Yeah.
Remember, be aware, be sensitive,
Right.
and always try to connect with your partner
Yeah,
on a deeper level.
I love that.
And hey, if you pull off a great prank,
Yeah,
send us pictures.
send us pictures.
We promise not to judge.
We won't judge
Too,
harshly.
not too harshly.